There have been many dynamic duos in the NBA's history. Magic and Kareem, Jordan and Pippen, Shaq and Kobe. But the question is, which dynamic duo is the best in the NBA today? So before we continue, let me give you the criteria for today's rankings. We are not ranking these dynamic duos based off their team's potential to win the NBA right now. We are ranking these two players on how much you would want them if your team is in the playoffs right now. Which dynamic duo gives your random team the best chance to go on a playoff run and win a championship? For our criteria today, we're considering three things. 1. The chemistry between the two players. 2. Just how good these players are individually. And 3. The ceiling and floor of these two players in the playoffs when it matters the most. And the final thing before we get to the ranking, let's just name some honorable mentions right now who didn't make the top 6. In Cleveland, it was difficult to pick a top 2. They have more like a big 3. So I could have gone with Garland and Mobley because I think Garland is having a slightly better season than Donovan Mitchell. So they didn't make the list. Also not making the list is Harden and Kawhi. Harden hasn't been of the Harden in the past that we know, although he's still very good. He made an All-Star appearance. But Kawhi has been on load management, and we still haven't seen pick Kawhi for an extended period of time, so they miss out on the list as well. John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been having an amazing season, but even still, as a pairing, as a combination, I still haven't seen them reach the heights, the playoff heights, to include them over most of these other players on the list right now. Same thing can be said with Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun down in the Rockets. Their time will come. They haven't proven it yet, and they still aren't up to the level of the players on the list. And finally, we have De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, who have, of course, just started together, and maybe in time they could find themselves on that list. In fact, pretty soon, maybe next year. But as of now, they just missed out. Number 6 on my list is the pairing of Jimmy Butler and Stephen Curry. Now, these two as a pairing, their team may be all the way down in 10th, but if you're looking at them just as a pair, an NBA playoff dynamic duo, I like these two. They have guts, they have both proven it in the past. But why are they only 6 on my list? They're only 6 on my list, and that's primarily because of age. Jimmy Butler has had amazing playoff runs in the past in his career, but I'm doubtful whether he can have that high of a ceiling at his age right now. With Stephen Curry, we've seen it in the past couple of regular seasons that although he's capable of having these really high level top 5 in the world performances on nights, in terms of sustainability, I just don't think he has it anymore like in 2022. And of course, because of that, his defense will also worsen on that end. So that's why great duo, dynamic duo, I have them 6, and that is a compliment to them and paying them homage for just the ability on certain nights to raise their game. As for a two-man game between the two, I think these players work well with each other. You're talking about two high-level, high IQ players coming together. Jimmy Butler can set picks for Stephen Curry, and then which he can shoot from. If they create a mismatch between the two from their picks, Jimmy Butler can, of course, with his size and strength, overpower Stephen Curry's defender. And he's just a great pairing between the two. Jimmy Butler is a high-level playmaker, also Steph Curry. So I think as a combination between the two, they can work really well in a playoff setting especially. So I have them as 6 on my list. For number 5 on my list, I struggle with the dynamic duo of LeBron James and Luka Doncic, or Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. On one hand, you have LeBron and Luka Doncic, who LeBron at 40 years old isn't playing the type of defense that he once could, and Luka Doncic is actually a very bad on defense. But with them, you get the boost, the playmaking boost that they bring to you. With Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they do play the better defense than the duo of LeBron and Luka Doncic, but they don't have as quite the playmaking chops as used to. So in the end, I ultimately landed on number 5 position, giving it to Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. So let's just break it down. Number 4 will be Luka and LeBron, obviously. But why does the pairing of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant go to number 5? Yes, while he may have better defense, the playmaking is not all the way there. But one of the reasons is I believe that if you're comparing, for example, Kevin Durant to LeBron James at that stage of the career, they're somewhat comparable, close in terms of their rankings. I think Kevin Durant is having a bit of a better season overall, but LeBron James' peak can go as high, if not higher than Kevin Durant's on some nights, and I still believe in that playoff peak. When it comes to comparing Devin Booker to Luka Doncic, it's a night and day difference, and that's without any disrespect to Devin Booker. We've seen Luka Doncic able to carry a team much better than Devin Booker could ever dream of even doing. Now, while Devin Booker is an improved defender and Kevin Durant does play better defense just with his length even at his age, I believe one of the areas that sort of caused me to put them all the way down to 5 is that Kevin Durant at his stage of his career now, he isn't getting to the rim as much as he used to. Devin Booker is getting to the rim a little bit better, but when you're talking about relentless rim scorers and people who can pressure the rim, which is an important element of basketball, I just don't think these two have it as well as even LeBron James at his age, nor Luka Doncic, obviously. So while there is a sizable gap in terms of the defense with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker compared to LeBron and Luka, I think there's a playmaking gap. I don't think the playmaking gap sort of covers for the defensive gap there is between the two pairings. But I think what makes up for that is the fact that LeBron and Luka still are very good free level scorers and can pressure the rim, which I cannot state how important that is in a playoff setting. And just that ability will create more opportunities for them to play make for others. So that's what prompted me to just give them the slight edge over Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. KD and Booker are both mid-range assassins. Like I said, Booker can get to the rim, but I just believe the relentless rim pressuring from Luka and LeBron is superior. So of course, Luka and LeBron are in 4th, and like I said, the defense leaves a lot to be desired of. LeBron still is, when it comes to on-ball defense, if he is fully committed to it and he's moving his feet, isn't tired from the offensive responsibilities, he can still move his feet quite well. Defensive rebounding is excellent still at his age. Again, it's mostly an effort thing for LeBron James. Luka, on the other hand, is just straight up bad on defense. I don't know if it can improve with more effort. I just don't know. He slides his feet incredibly slow. But like I said, that guy can drag a team to an NBA Finals. LeBron is still one of the top peak performers in our game on some nights. So I just believe that ceiling is so high. I just had to give them the benefit of the doubt and put them all the way up to 4th. Number 3. I am number 3 as the Oklahoma City Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren. Now you may think, wow, like this pairing, in fact SGA by himself, not by himself, but almost single-handedly, is having Oklahoma City Thunder as the 1 seed in all of the league, and that's even without Chet Holmgren. So how can I possibly put these guys all the way down to the 3rd position? I mean, it just comes down to they haven't proven it yet. That's 1. And 2, Chet isn't yet in the class of the other players on that list. Just look at my thumbnail, look at my screenshot. Is he better than anyone on the list right now? I don't think so. And although SGA is currently a top 3, top 2, top 3, top 4 player in our league right now, I still think the combination of the two vastly outweigh the other duos on that list. When it comes to their chemistry together, of course, they don't play that much of a two-man game. Chet does some spotting up, he does a lot of slashing. They do have some two-man game, but it's not something that's prolific, but that can be developed over time. But ultimately, I just think it comes down to one, the experience. So maybe after a playoff run, maybe who knows, they make the finals this year, that could raise their dynamic duo standing on my list. And of course, Chet will obviously get better in time. And with that improvement, with him having some very good playoff runs, that will of course boost his stature. But for now, out of respect for the others, I just couldn't have them above the duos that are in 2 and 1 right now. And of course, the 2 duos left on my list, they have both won NBA championships as duos, and I have to respect that. And number two, drum roll. Is it Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, or is it Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic? And at number 2, I have Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. One of the things that boosts that duo's standing and credibility is, one, they have won a championship together. That's one, they have the experience. And 2, the chemistry between these guys is just so fantastic. The two-man game is excellent. Jamal Murray is one of the best tough shot makers in the NBA. Nikola Jokic, with his wide body, is one of the best functional screeners in the NBA. That two-man game, that synergy between them, Jokic being probably the best passer, playmaker in the league right now, that two-man chemistry and dynamism between them just propels them all the way up to number 2 on that list. The one small issue with them, well, it's more than a small issue, of course, the defense. Jamal Murray is average, can be below average, can be average, slightly above average, depends on the nights and his fitness. On defense, Nikola Jokic can range about the same. But looking at him this season, Jamal Murray isn't stopping or having any ball containment, and Nikola Jokic has went down from the championship years as a rim protector, if you can even call him that. And that's the only thing that's keeping them from being number 1 on that list. Yes, they have the experience of winning together, and although Jamal Murray hasn't made any All-NBA or All-Star teams, that's mostly because of regular season injuries, which causes him to miss many games. But we don't need the All-Star appearances and the All-NBA appearances to show us that on given nights in the NBA playoffs, his star and his performance, his ceiling can be almost as high, just as high as the top All-NBA guards in the NBA right now. Bar probably Luka, bar probably SGA. We've seen many nights when Jamal Murray can read his game to be way up there in that level. Now, I will not put him here because you have to, of course, do it constantly, more consistently. And of course, if you're carrying your team like the other guards, there's more responsibility to do it more often. So I wouldn't put him in that status, but we've seen on nights that he can completely explode. So this duo, they have the chemistry, they have the dynamism, and they of course have the pedigree, the experience of winning a championship together, and that's why they're number 2 on the list. And of course, number 1 on the list, it may not be a popular choice for many, but remember, we're just ranking these 2 players as a duo in a vacuum. And I know Jaylen Brown isn't having the greatest of season in the NBA. In fact, I believe Jaylen Brown didn't deserve an All-Star appearance. There are more deserving players in the East right now. But we've seen in the NBA playoffs, these 2 constantly can provide and facilitate, they can defend, they can score, they contribute in all areas of the game. There's a certain well-roundedness about their game, and I remember a few years ago before they won an NBA championship, there was so much talk about can Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown work and excel together, and I thought that was crazy talk. Expect that kind of talk from someone like Kendrick Perkins. It was just talk for clickbait and talking points. You're talking about 2 modern NBA wings who are big, who are tall. Jaylen Brown 6'6", 6'7", Jason Tatum 6'8", 6'9". Both two-way players. Both can facilitate. Jason Tatum at an excellent level, Jaylen Brown at an okay to good level. Both can get to the rim, both can shoot the three, both can pull up from the mid-range. Like, there are no like big holes and big flaws in their game. Jaylen Brown had a bit of a playmaking issue, but he's gotten better at that. He had a bit of a handling issue. I thought he was just being too ambitious with his dribbling instead of him not being able to dribble particularly, or dribble with his left hand. When I looked at him, it was more a case of him being too ambitious with his dribbling, but we've seen him solve that issue. And I just think these two guys represent what the modern NBA is about. They have that pedigree, they have that experience of winning a championship, and basically they play well off each other, and they don't really have holes in their game that you can point out to like with the other duos on our list. With Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, you have the age and the defense for Steph Curry. With Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, we have them probably not pressuring the rim enough. That's not the case for Jaylen and Jason. With LeBron and Luka, you have the defense and the effort on defense. You don't have that with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Chet Holmgren and SGA, Chet is yet to hit his prime. We don't have that case for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And of course, with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, there's a defensive problem. You don't have that for the pair in Boston. So that's why I give these guys a number one position, the number due on my list. That doesn't make them automatic favorites to win just because they're a good pairing. Other team dynamics come into it. But just in a vacuum as a duo, I think that they're the number one duo in the NBA. I want to thank those of you who subscribe to this channel and who like the videos. I apologize for taking almost 2 weeks to upload this next video. I had been sick for a few days and I changed apartments, so it had been a bit of hell on my end. But hopefully I want to commit to uploading at least 2 or 3 videos weekly. And again, thank you for the support. Remember to subscribe, hit the notifications, like, comment, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.